Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight: cadavers rotting in LUNDAZI district due to power cuts. Denying all suspects of capital crimes bail is a violation of human rights, charges the Human Rights Commission. The UPND Secretary General BATUKE IMENDA reaffirms government's stance on social protection. In international news, France condemns attacks on embassy in OUAGADOUGOU following military coup. And in sports news, Manchester City shakes Man United by 6 goals to 3.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Television, not just another channel.
Hello once again, another news in detail. Human bodies in LUNDAZI constituency of Eastern Province are rotting in mortuaries due to a lack of electricity. In an interview, Patriotic Front LUNDAZI Member of Parliament Brenda Nyirenda says there is urgent need for the Ministry of Energy to quickly connect the constituency to the national grid, as they are dependent on electricity from neighboring Malawi, which is frequented by power cuts. She adds that this has also disadvantaged patients in hospitals needing electricity, as even these facilities are not spared from electricity cuts. More in this report.
Despite Zambia aiming to achieve good health and well-being for all by 2030, through providing equal access to health care for all men, women, and children across the country, some parts of Zambia, particularly those in rural areas, remain disadvantaged due to the lack of electricity. Many of these areas are yet to be connected to the national grid, leaving them to depend on neighboring countries to electrify even critical facilities such as hospitals. This has crippled many activities in these areas, the case of LUNDAZI constituency in Eastern Province. In an interview, Patriotic Front LUNDAZI Member of Parliament Brenda Nyirenda says apart from disadvantaging citizens from engaging in various economic activities, the lack of electricity has led to bodies in many mortuaries rotting due to frequent power cuts, as the constituency mostly sources for electricity from neighboring Malawi.
I've seen that there is a serious challenge of electricity right now. The bodies are rotting in the mortuary, and apart from that, there is something bad which is happening. Those who are on oxygen, they are dying. Whilst trying to resuscitate them, you find that the power cuts in Malawi, they cut at any time. And some people, they can even die on the bed when they are being operated on. So it is really bad. The situation of electricity in LUNDAZI is terrible.
Meanwhile, the LUNDAZI lawmaker says the constituency is taking advantage of the Constituency Development Fund to undertake various projects, such as improving access to water.
From the schools, we are working on the clinics and ensuring that we renovate some of those and those incomplete projects which weren't completed. We are praying that this CDF, which has been enhanced, will be able to assist us to bring a change that we need.
She has emphasized on the need for electricity to be quickly taken to all parts of the country if to prevent the loss of lives in hospitals. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Beneficiaries of the Social Cash Transfer Program in Linda compound of Lusaka say the increased amounts of social cash transfer from 300 kwacha during the previous administration to 400 kwacha and 800 kwacha for those in severe poverty bi-monthly under the current administration has significantly helped in cushioning poverty levels in their families. In interviews with Camnet News, the beneficiaries who gathered to show their gratitude add that some of them have been able to use the money as capital to start small businesses and make extra profit. The World Bank reports that Zambia is still struggling with levels of extreme poverty, which stand at over 50%, necessitating the expansion of such programs if the country is to attain its goal of ending poverty and hunger by 2030. More in this report.
These are residents of Linda Compound in Lusaka who have come together to give a testimony of how they're slowly rising from poverty through the Social Cash Transfer Program, a government initiative aimed at alleviating poverty among the aged and most vulnerable populations, such as those with disabilities. Majority of Zambia's urban densely populated areas and rural areas have for long been plagued with poverty, which is currently affecting over 50% of citizens, according to the World Bank. Currently, slightly over 900,000 citizens have been placed on this program so far, according to statistics from the Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Beneficiaries of the Social Cash Transfer Program in Linda Compound of Lusaka came together to narrate how they were living before, stating that they would go to bed hungry at times due to living in abject poverty.
Okay, for example, I've got my young brother, ali ku school. So that money we cannot complain so much, because you can't expect a huge money. If you can fail to use 200 kwacha, even 10,000 when they give you, you cannot use it. So you just have to plan. The little money that the people are given, let them plan for that money.
Some state that they have been innovative enough to use their money as capital to start small businesses for themselves.
Social cash transfer. Mongaine, yamane chamene nitandizira. Bamunda banga wanamwalira mu 2010. Nabana 7. Imantandizira ko kaka business kamene nichita ko perekera bana ku school kaka gwa pansi ba social cash transfer kanonjezerapo na ikakana picking na pesa ko ndrama yo perekera bana ku school na uja mwana kadwala imantandizira ko perekera mwana ku group ku school yo gulira na mankwala ndecha mene mantandizirako nonga ziko mo pali boma pakuleta social cash transfer because tenza kulima chabe kumbuyo kundia matanza kudyera bana siwana ali kwenda ku school tenza kulima chabe ko kulisa mbeu kwenze lipe so ba social cash transfer pangana bwera tinapeza ko ka capital tigulisa tiperekera bonda bana na ku school.
With this picture, it remains clear that there is need to significantly increase beneficiaries under this program going forward, as this is key to achieving levels of zero hunger and poverty by 2030, as is Zambia's aspiration under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development Secretary General BATUKE IMENDA has, on behalf of Universal Investment Center, donated foodstuffs to over 350 persons with disabilities in Lusaka's George compound. Speaking during the donation, Mr. IMENDA says government will, through his office, ensure that it supplements President Hakainde Hichilema's vision of not leaving anyone behind. He says this is the more reason government in 2023 national budget has increased funds towards social protection so that many vulnerable people are included in the bracket of beneficiaries. Meanwhile, Universal Investment Center Chief Executive Officer Akta Maunga says the private sector will continue working with government in ensuring that there's inclusiveness at all levels, especially among the vulnerable people. More in this report.
United Party for National Development members in Lusaka's George compound have asked the party hierarchy to ensure they do not leave anyone behind, especially those living with cross-cutting disabilities. This call was made when Party Secretary General BATUKE IMENDA, in the company of Matero 2021 parliamentary candidate Tom Mejelo, during the handover of donated foodstuff from Universal Investment Center, which include 10 bags of kapenta, 10 bags of beans, and some bags of maize grain.
Please, under your leadership, tupempa kuti awabantu mubaikeko nzelu muno mwa George. Yashinaisa mkutandalira abana bakwe. Imwe muri bana baba present ba chalo chino. Aini is not a present for UPND, is a present for every Zambian.
And UPND Secretary General BATUKE IMENDA says the party is alive to all the challenges being faced in various communities, hence partnering with various stakeholders in making sure that the job of the Minister of Community Development is enhanced.
We are very happy to stand here today and represent the President of the Republic of Zambia, who lovely thinks of you all the time, and who will make sure that every time we do a budget, your cut will be made sure that it will be reserved for you. I would not like to perpetuate this speech because my coming here was merely to come and give you the gift that you so much deserve. Community development is responsible for people like yourselves who are gathered here. This part of the vision of the President who would like to make sure that each and every Zambian feels wanted. Feel the different abled people are the right to survive, have the right to share the cake of this country.
And Tom Mijelo, parliamentary candidate for 2021 general elections, says despite losing the election, he will not stop looking out for the people of Matero.
Mu parliament koma mutima waimwe nikalinawo chifundo nilinacho ntawi zinango kuti ningaoneke everyday koma pocha ya kwanja pamachepekela nikati nibwele kabiri naine ni mavera chikonko kuti monse mulanganira pali ine niza kunyamulani bwanji niza kupapani bwanji nienda nikonkosha mmaofesi mpaka naenda mukuona mwamene tenzo pita kuti mmaofesi tipempe.
And Universal Investment Center's Chief Executive Officer, Actor Maunga, says his organization will continue to identify and help the vulnerable in society through the office of the UPND Secretary General.
Universal Investment Center, we are 100% kutandiza office yaba Secretary General, office yaba MP, na office yama councillors mumawadi. We always believe that disability is not an ability. So there's no segregation, we are all the same. Bamene tinga chite, ife bantu nabeve bangachite bwanji, bangachite ni bantu kwati ife. Therefore, Mr. Apiu kuma chairperson for this organization to make sure that your people, they take part in the cooperatives and empowerment programs of the new Dawn government.
The nations will be used for intended purpose. Akuti vamene valeta va Secretary General biza gavanika bwino ndipo onse vazatenga mwamene mwaganizira imo. Not for misuse. Ati ndipo sivisa onongeka bizadeka bwino.
Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Human Rights Commission says the blanket approach of denying all suspects of capital crimes bail and bond is a serious violation of human rights, stating that this has at times been used as a tool to punish political opponents. In an interview, organization spokesperson Mwera Mulea says there is need for an amendment of this law to leave the denial of bond or bail to the courts of law, depending on the circumstances surrounding each case. He says this is particularly important as the judicial process in Zambia overall is lengthy, meaning that suspects may spend years in detention before finally being sentenced. The human rights spokesperson adds that making such an amendment will distinguish Zambia from many other African countries in the upholding of human rights. All suspects of capital crimes, namely murder, treason, and aggravated robbery, currently cannot be given bail or bond in Zambia.
There is need to review the Criminal Procedure Code, particularly Section 123, which makes it non-bailable offenses of murder, treason, and aggravated robbery mandatory. That discretion should be left to the courts of law so that they can decide on the merits or demerits of each case. This is going to take away any potential for abuse of the laws, where individuals may be framed for having committed maybe a case of treason, murder, or aggravated robbery, just to ensure that they are punished through prolonged detention. pre-trial detention, that people should spend months and years without trial. That is a violation of human rights. It's a violation of the Constitution, because everyone is presumed innocent until pleaded or proven guilty according to our Constitution. So some people should be afforded a fair trial within a reasonable period of time. Keeping them in detention without trial is extrajudicial punishment. Punishment before they are legally found guilty. And that should not be allowed in a democracy where the rule of law, respect for the rule of law, human rights and constitution should be.
Chairman North Member of Parliament Yotamu Mtayachalo says he is disappointed at the 4,800 kwacha pay-as-you-earn exemption announced in the 2023 national budget. Mr. Mtayachalo says he expected the threshold to be moved to 5,000 kwacha, which would have given the working class some disposable income amidst the high cost of living. Meanwhile, the British High Commissioner to Zambia has applauded the Zambian government for showing commitment to the development agenda of the country and the 8th National Development Plan, as evidenced in the 2022 national budget, which was presented to Parliament on Friday last week. British High Commissioner to Zambia Nicholas Woolley says the budget has shown a clear direction in the central reforms the country wishes to undertake in order to unlock growth and deal with the debt situation. And Health Professionals Council of Zambia HPCZ Senior Public Relations Officer Terry Musonda says the sustained effort of recruiting health workers even in 2023 will bridge the gap in human capital, which his institution regulates. More in this report.
The 64-page 2023 national budget presented to Parliament by the Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stombeko Msokotwane, on 30th of September 2022 has continued to attract mixed reactions from different stakeholders. While the cost of living in the country has continued to surge owing to different factors, among them the high fuel price, which has been contributing to the increase in the price of goods and commodities, Chairman North Member of Parliament Yotamu Mtayachalo says he is disappointed that the pay-as-you-earn exemption has only been moved to 4,800 kwacha when the cost of living has skyrocketed.
I expect that the Zambian workers should have a breathing space, especially that the cost of living has been escalating because of high cost of fuel and electricity. So I believe that the 4.8 thousand kwacha pay-as-you-earn threshold exemption is insignificant. It's not enough for the workers. So I would have loved that if it had gone beyond 5,000 kwacha, at least the workers were going to have something, at least some disposable income.
But British High Commission to Zambia Nicholas Woolley says the budget has shown a clear direction in the central reforms the country wishes to undertake in order to unlock growth and deal with the debt situation.
On the essential reforms that the government has identified in order to unlock growth and deal with the debt situation, a very clear focus on social sectors and the development of education, new investment into schools, of the health sector, the expansion of the social protection scheme, a very clear desire for increased investment in policies will unlock investment in business, particularly in the renewables and clean energy sectors.
Meanwhile, the Health Professional Council of Zambia HPCZ Senior Public Relations Officer Terry Musonda says he is happy that government has shown commitment to continue absorbing human resource even in the health sector, which will bridge the gap of unemployment levels in the country.
I think for us what excites us most is that as a regulator, this is the feedback from what we normally obtain on the ground when we go out there, because among the recommendations we do when our team of inspectors are inspecting these facilities is the gaps which are observed with regards to human resource. So when such an effort is made, I think it is something which is feeding into the feedback which we give to policymakers.
With youth unemployment still remaining high in the country, the expectation of many youths is to see how the government will create employment opportunities in the 2023 budget. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Former Transport and Communications Minister William Harrington says Zambians must embrace innovation to make the transport sector convenient and beneficial for all players. Mr. Harrington has urged the Road Transport and Safety Agency to expedite the process of putting in place necessary legislation to coordinate the sector. Meanwhile, some online bus drivers have shared with Camnet News that they have been compelled to embrace technology due to lack of business. In the previous sitting of Parliament, amendments to the Road Traffic Act were made, and the Act empowers the Minister of Transport and Logistics to facilitate modalities to regulate online car hailing. More in this report.
In the previous sitting of Parliament, amendments to the Road Traffic Act were made, and among the amendments, the Act now empowers the Minister of Transport and Logistics to facilitate modalities to regulate online car hailing. And the Road Transport and Safety Agency, RATSA, is currently working on modalities to bring sanity in the online car hailing sector. Currently, the market is saturated with various service providers, but so far, only 2 have penetrated the sector. For customers, it is the service that is convenient, but for younger drivers, previously the concerns have been on the pricing system. But is there any positivity that has come with this innovation? We spoke to some taxi drivers at the oldest taxi rank along the Great East Road opposite the University of Zambia main campus, who are using the app.
So, but in the long distance, short time dramas in one, but the how much the benefit of my bonus as a bonus kachoka. I'm a pedago at least a profit kama oneka itamuka pani ya ni usewenza shito maya is shito kasewenza usiza kusema shito you can get something. So tunapeleka mtu mabonus tunatuma lingesho kwa yangu kama pasa business kama tumeza mbele customers makati ngali papa phone galila.
The bonus and easy access to customer come among positive attributes, but sometimes bonuses are not easily accessible, as this driver explains.
We used to go home nothing like that and just use that term. I don't know that phrase, if it's a Chinese one or if it's English one. If you can't beat them, just join them. That's how we join them. This is the same thing of my bonuses. Yeah, me up as well here is this taxi. All these houses you are seeing, when you come boarding houses. Okay, we live from one boarding house to another. They arrive, they call them like orders. And they say that if you catch 5 people, you are being given a certain bonus. 10, and so on and so forth, it increases. Now my company, the one I'm partnering with, I explained to them, I carried about 10 people, I was expecting a bonus, but they didn't give. I went there, they said that no, there's no ride which can end in 300 meters.
But former Transport and Communications Minister under the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy MMD administration, William Harrington, says Zambians must embrace innovation to make the transport sector convenient and beneficial for all players.
We are proactive in regulating and facilitating this new law, so that enforcing the new law, so that we move with the times. Again, the role of RATSA in creating a predictable and enabling legislation and regulatory environment that helps innovation in the transport sector cannot be overemphasized. It's important for RTSA to play its role. And the role of the communicating public on the need to embrace new technology must also be encouraged. We need to encourage the road users, the commuters, to embrace this new technology.
And beneficial for all players. Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
You're watching Camnet Television and not just another channel. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after this break.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum Products for that perfect skin.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, my dear. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Examination Council of Zambia, ECZ, has alleged that it will not be pushed to release the GCE results that have been withheld by the council due to examination malpractice, simply because some candidates want to enroll in higher institutions of learning. ECZ Communications Manager Nicholas Nkua says it is the jurisdiction of the council to make sure that it protects the education system of the country by ensuring that whoever has earned the results does so genuinely. Mr. Nkua has since urged all candidates whose results have been withheld to exercise patience until the necessary council committee has had its meeting to deliberate on the evidence presented before it. Minister of Education Douglas Yakalima Monday, 26 September 2022, informed the nation that ECZ has withheld results from 69 whole center examinations due to examination malpractices until the issues are resolved by the appropriate committees of councils. More in this report.
Some youths in the country have cried foul over what they term unfair withholding of their GCE results by the Examination Council of Zambia on the basis of examination malpractices. Monday, 26th September 2022, Minister of Education Douglas Yakalima informed the public that 385 suspected individuals and 69 whole center examination malpractice cases were reported during the conduct of the 2022 GCE examinations. The minister also indicated that ECZ has since withheld the results for the candidates involved in all the cases of suspected examination malpractice until the issues are resolved by the appropriate committees of the council. Some affected youths on the Copper Belt have, however, protested against the decision and have since demanded that their results be released, considering that not all of them were involved in the alleged malpractices.
They want to go for further education, than to go to university, than to go to college, than to go for nursing, for being a doctor, lawyer, all kinds of courses. But without these results, they cannot go forward. Without these results, they cannot go forward. So it's important that UPND, who always preaches Zambia forward, they also come and help us so that things can now be forward. So we are asking now, we are demanding from the Minister of Education to issue a statement and ensure as well, if it is so feasible, that these results are released. We need to hear from the Minister of Education as soon as possible.
And in responding to their cries, ECZ Communications Manager Nicholas Nkua says the council will not be pushed to release the withheld results simply because some candidates want to enroll in higher institutions of learning.
This is within the jurisdiction of the council to make sure that we protect the education system of this nation, and as the council will not be pushed to release the results because candidates are looking forward to enroll maybe in university or anything, because we want to make sure that whoever has earned these results has earned them genuinely, and this is why the council exists. And so we urge these candidates to make sure that they just remain patient until the necessary council committee has had its meetings to deliberate on these cases.
Quality education lays the groundwork for society fairness. The question then that still bangs for answers is how long should the affected wait until they can access their results? Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Governance activist Brebna Chengala has demanded for a full disclosure of where the resources at the Ministry of Health are being channeled to. Mr. Chengala says he is reliably informed that the Ministry of Health has enough money to buy medicines, but that the country has continued to experience shortages of critical drugs in health facilities. Mr. Chengala says he has been reliably informed that the Minister of Health, Sylvia Masewo, has been denying the procurement department at the ministry from spending the resources, thereby causing the shortage. He says it is disappointing that health workers are being employed to go and witness people dying because health facilities have no medicines.
A very critical challenge where not even a Panadol is available. I have done my own introspection, I have done my visitation. The Ministry of Health has the money to buy the medicine, but they have a challenge with the minister who doesn't want the money to be spent. I am told so, because with money you can do anything. Now, to allow our health system collapsing and the buck stops at the head of state, he must find an urgent solution to the Ministry of Health procurement department. We have old suppliers who have been told have been cut off without first creating a new source of our medicines and many important supplies that needs to support our health sector. Nurses have been deployed, not only employed but deployed, to go and work in a system that is handicapped, to go and witness the dying patients when something can be done. We need a full disclosure as to what is going on at the Ministry of Health.
380 farmers in Kazungula district have benefited from the goat value chain entrepreneurship, in which 50% are women. Southern Province Agricultural Officer Paul Nyambe said that goat rearing is producing quick revenue for small-scale farmers and are resistant to livestock diseases as compared to cattle. Kazungula Senior Agricultural Officer Tundu Kaonga named the beneficiary categories as youths, persons with disabilities, and widows. He noted that the Strengthening Climate Resilience in Agricultural Livelihoods on Agroecological Regions 1 and 2 SCRALA project is using the pass-on concept from each farmer who initially receives 5 goats. George Matongo is a person with a disability who has also benefited from the program to improve his welfare. For Mr. Matongo, disability is not inability, as he is able to take care of his goats and his 10 family members. Nais has more.
Farmers in Kazungula district have benefited from the goat value chain entrepreneurship, in which 50% are women. Southern Province Agriculture Officer Paul Nyambe says goat rearing is producing quick revenue for small-scale farmers and are resistant to livestock diseases as compared to cattle.
He's taking good care of them because he's able to sell and get income from which he can support the family, feeding-wise and even other related facilities that they need. They're able to get money and even pay for school children.
Kazungula Senior Agriculture Officer Tundu Kaonga named the beneficiary categories as youths, persons with disability, and widows.
The project has also supported the small-scale farmers or smallholder farmers in another alternative livelihood, which is the small ruminant, particularly goat production. And the number of beneficiaries are 380, with at least 55% are women. And among them, there are also some youths. And the project also wants to support the youths. And also, each beneficiary received 5 goats.
He noted that the Strengthening Climate Resilience in Agricultural Livelihoods in Agroecological Regions 1 and 2 SNARE project is using the pass-on concept from each farmer who initially received 5 goats. George Matongo is a person with a disability who has also benefited from the program to improve his welfare. For Mr. Matongo, disability is not inability, as he is able to take care of his goats and his 10 family members. Reporting, Lawrence Kabutu in Kazungola.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with international and sports news after the break.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
And now in international news, France condemns attacks on embassy in Ouagadougou following military coup. Angry demonstrators in Burkina Faso attacked the French embassy in the capital, Ouagadougou, on Saturday, 1st October. They were protesting in support of the country's new military leader, Ibrahim Traoré, and accused France of harboring interim president, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who was ousted on Friday. Uncertainty continued in Ouagadougou on Saturday evening after a statement by the army said it did not recognize the seizure of power the previous day by soldiers. In other news, thousands of Oromo people, Ethiopia's largest ethnic group, came together in the capital on Saturday to mark the Thanksgiving festival of Eritrea, marking the end of the rainy season. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Angry demonstrators in Burkina Faso have attacked the French embassy in the capital, Ouagadougou. They were protesting in support of the country's new military leader, Ibrahim Traoré, and accused France of harboring interim president, Lieutenant Colonel Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba, who was ousted on Friday. The whereabouts of Damiba is unclear, but French authorities deny any involvement. These protesters shout, "Fatherland or death, we will win." They repeat, "We don't want France anymore, we no longer want France." They say they no longer want France to be in Africa. "Down with France," they chant, and say, "We call on Russia." "We want a frank cooperation with Russia," he says. "That's why we hold the 3 flags, the Russian, Malian and Burkinabe flags." Damiba has failed and the people are not happy, he says, and we are indeed going out today to show the whole world that we do not want this man anymore. At the moment, we have very seasoned soldiers who've taken power and we will support them until terrorism is driven out of our country. Damiba had promised to tackle jihadist violence, but critics accused him of being too close to France, which maintains a military presence in the region. Thousands of Oromo people, Ethiopia's largest ethnic group, came together in the capital on Saturday to mark the festival of Irrecha, marking the end of the rainy season. As well as traditional celebrations, including dipping flowers into water, the participants appealed for peace in their region, which has faced violence over a lack of representation in government. Justice should be served for those whose blood is spilled on the streets and burned with their houses, she says. Our people should not suffer like this. Our farmers couldn't send their children to school and farm their fields. We have to work together to solve this. Currently there is vast repression on the Oromo people, he says. However, the Oromo people are not surrendering to it. We are overcoming oppression and securing freedom. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said Irrecha was a festival celebrated by all nations, nationalities and peoples of Ethiopia. He said the celebration promoted peace and love. Pakistani peacekeeper has been killed in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo in an attack by local militia on a peacekeepers camp. The peacekeeper was shot dead on Friday by a suspected Twirwaneho militiaman who had come to the MONUSCO camp in Minembwe apparently to surrender. The attack on the MONUSCO base comes amid a climate of mistrust towards UN soldiers in eastern DRC. In July, 32 demonstrators and 4 peacekeepers were killed during a week of protests against the presence of MONUSCO, several of whose bases had been looted. The Twirwaneho militia claims to defend the interests of the Banyamulenge community, a Congolese Tutsi minority. It's one of 100 or so rebel groups that have led to several thousand deaths over the past 10 years. The UN has been deployed in the DRC since 1999 and currently has a contingent of some 16,000 troops.
We now have some sports news. Manchester City's Erling Haaland became the first player to score 3 successive Premier League hat-tricks as Manchester United were humiliated in the derby at Etihad Stadium. Haaland's rampage this season continued as he made it 17 goals in 10 games since his move from Borussia Dortmund, and Phil Foden also scored his first treble for City as they closed the gap on pace-setters Arsenal to 1 point. This was a brutal reality check for United after their recent improvement, as the reigning Premier League champions ran riot to illustrate the gulf in class between the teams. City's lightning start was rewarded when Foden swept home Bernardo Silva's cross after 8 minutes before Haaland inevitably joined the action with a header from the corner 11 minutes before half-time. As United subsided, Haaland slid in a third from Kevin De Bruyne's perfect pass, then turned provider to set up a simple finish for Foden before the break. United's new signing, Anthony, struck a superb goal from 25 yards to pull one back, but it only provoked City to up the tempo again, Haaland thumping home his third from Sergio Gomez's cross, then again showing he can be creator by setting up Foden for City's 6th. Haaland's third put him in the record books, following hat-tricks at home to Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace. Anthony Martial's let go for United was greeted in near silence, as was his added time penalty. On a day of embarrassment for United and manager Erik ten Hag, and one of elation for City and Pep Guardiola. To end Camnet television news, we take a look at stories making headlines once again. Cadavers rotting in Lundazi district due to power cuts. denying all suspects of capital crimes bail is a violation of human rights, charges the Human Rights Commission. UPND Secretary General BATUKE IMENDA reaffirms government's stance on social protection. In international news, France condemns attacks on the embassy in Ouagadougou following military coup. And in sports news, Manchester City shakes Man United by 6-3. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day, which is coming from Proverbs 29, verse 25. Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.